In the vibrant city of Lakewood, where the sun painted the streets with golden hues, Sophie Harper weaved her way through the lively crowd. A recent graduate, she was about to begin her new job at the Aurora Art Gallery, a dream she had chased for years. Yet, as excitement coursed through her veins, a hint of anxiety lingered. She was stepping into a world that felt both thrilling and intimidating. As she made her way down the bustling avenue, the rich aroma of coffee beckoned her from a charming cafe. Sophie decided to pause for a moment, hoping a latte would calm her nerves. Inside, the cafe buzzed with chatter, and the scent of freshly baked pastries filled the air. While waiting for her drink, Sophie noticed a young man at a nearby table, deeply engrossed in a sketchbook. His messy curls framed a thoughtful face, and every so often, he would glance up, seemingly lost in the world around him. Suddenly, a loud crash shattered the cafe's calm. A cyclist had clipped a street vendor's cart, sending items flying. In the ensuing chaos, Sophie stepped back instinctively and bumped into someone. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she exclaimed, turning to find the young man from the table, now holding a cup of coffee that had miraculously survived the chaos. "No problem," he replied, a playful smile lighting up his face. "I think we just dodged a caffeine disaster." Sophie laughed, feeling a wave of relief wash over her. "I guess it wasn't our day to spill coffee." "I'm Ethan," he introduced, his eyes sparkling with warmth. "And you are?" "Sophie," she replied, her cheeks flushing slightly. "I'm just trying to grab a quick coffee before my first day at the gallery." "First day? That's exciting. What's your role?" Ethan leaned in, genuinely interested. "I'm curating my first exhibition focused on contemporary artists and their unique perspectives," she said, her passion bubbling to the surface. "That sounds amazing. Art can be such a powerful way to express who we are," Ethan said, nodding appreciatively. "I'd love to see it." Just then, the barista called Sophie's name, breaking the moment. She turned to grab her latte, glancing back at Ethan. "Thanks for the chat. Maybe I'll see you around the gallery." "I'd like that," he said, a hopeful smile crossing his lips. "I'll definitely swing by." As Sophie stepped outside, her heart raced. She hadn't expected to connect with a stranger in such a short time. The city felt a little less overwhelming, and she couldn't shake the feeling that their paths were destined to cross again. Little did she know, this serendipitous encounter would lead to a journey of discovery, love, and the unexpected twists that life can bring. The following day dawned bright and clear in Lakewood, the sun casting a warm glow over the city. Sophie arrived at the Aurora Art Gallery, her heart pounding with anticipation. The gallery's modern facade, with its sleek glass and steel design, reflected her excitement and nerves. Today was the opening of her first exhibition, and she wanted everything to be perfect. As she stepped inside, the gallery buzzed with activity. The sound of laughter and the clinking of glasses filled the air as her colleagues prepared for the evening's event. Sophie took a deep breath, soaking in the vibrant atmosphere. Artworks adorned the walls, each piece telling a unique story, just like the artists who created them. "Hey, Sophie. Looking good," called out Mia, her fellow curator and mentor. Mia was a seasoned professional, known for her keen eye and infectious enthusiasm. She approached with a clipboard in hand, ready to check off the final details. "Are you ready for tonight?" "I think so," Sophie replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just hope everything goes smoothly." "It will. Trust me. You've put your heart into this, and it shows," Mia encouraged. "Let's go over the final touches." As they moved through the gallery, Sophie's nerves began to ease. She felt a surge of pride as she discussed each piece with Mia, sharing the stories behind the artists and their work. She was especially excited about the installation by local artist Jamie Rivers, whose vibrant pieces reflected themes of identity and self-discovery. "Your passion for this exhibition is infectious," Mia remarked, her eyes sparkling. "You're going to be a fantastic curator, Sophie." Just then, the door opened and a wave of guests flooded in. The excitement in the air was palpable, and Sophie's heart raced as she greeted the first attendees. Each interaction felt electric, fueling her confidence. She noticed a few familiar faces among the crowd, including Ethan, who had promised to stop by. When their eyes met across the room, a warm smile broke on his face, and Sophie felt a flutter in her chest. He made his way through the crowd, and when he reached her, she felt a rush of relief and excitement. "Hey, Sophie. This place looks incredible," he said, glancing around in awe. "I can't believe you organized all of this." "Thanks. I'm really glad you came," she replied, her cheeks flushing. "What do you think of the art?" "I love it. There's so much emotion in these pieces," he said, stopping in front of one of Jamie's installations. "This one really speaks to me. The colors are so vibrant." Sophie's heart swelled at his appreciation. "That's Jamie's work. He explores identity through color and form. I think it's beautiful how he captures the complexity of self." Ethan nodded, clearly captivated. "You've done an amazing job bringing this together. I can see how much it means to you." As they continued to explore the gallery together, Sophie felt a connection growing between them. Their conversations flowed effortlessly, ranging from their favorite artists to shared experiences in college. The initial spark she felt in the cafe had blossomed into something deeper, and she found herself smiling more than she had in a long time. Hours passed, filled with laughter, compliments, and heartfelt discussions. As the night began to wind down, Sophie stood near the entrance, soaking in the last moments of the event. Her heart was full, not only from the success of the exhibition, but also from the unexpected bond she was forming with Ethan. "Can I take you out for a celebratory drink?" he asked, a hopeful glint in his eye. "I'd love that," Sophie replied, her smile wide. "It feels like a perfect way to end the night." As they stepped out into the cool Lakewood evening, Sophie couldn't help but feel that this was just the beginning of something wonderful, not only for her career, but also for her heart. The city sparkled with promise, and she was ready to embrace it all. The weeks following the exhibition flew by, each day more vibrant than the last. Sophie settled into her role at the Aurora Art Gallery, her confidence blossoming alongside her growing relationship with Ethan. Their shared passion for art deepened their connection, and they found themselves exploring the city together, visiting galleries and cafes, laughing and sharing stories late into the night. One Saturday afternoon, they decided to check out a local art fair. The sun shone brightly, and the streets were alive with color and music. Booths filled with paintings, sculptures, and handmade crafts lined the park, creating a lively atmosphere. Sophie felt a thrill of excitement as they wandered through the stalls, the air thick with creativity. "Look at that!" Ethan exclaimed, pointing to a striking mural that depicted a vibrant sunset over the city. "It's beautiful." Sophie smiled, watching as he snapped photos with his camera. "It really captures the spirit of Lakewood, doesn't it?" As they strolled, Sophie felt a sense of ease wash over her. She loved how Ethan's enthusiasm for art mirrored her own. They stopped to chat with various artists, and each conversation left her feeling inspired. But beneath her joy, a flicker of worry began to emerge. She couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was brewing in their relationship, an intimacy that both thrilled and terrified her. Later that evening, they found a quiet spot on a park bench, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. Sophie turned to Ethan, her heart racing. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," he replied, his eyes warm and inviting. "What do you see for yourself in the future?" she asked, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Where do you want to go with your art?" Ethan paused, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "I want to create work that resonates with people, that makes them feel something. I've always believed art has the power to connect us, to spark conversations." Sophie nodded, feeling the weight of his words. "I feel the same way. I want to curate exhibitions that challenge perspectives and tell stories." "And what about us?" Ethan's question caught her off guard, and she turned to face him fully, her heart racing. Where do you see us going? The moment hung between them, electric and fragile. Sophie felt a whirlwind of emotions, excitement, fear, vulnerability. I really like you, Ethan. I want to see where this goes, but I've been burned before, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Ethan reached for her hand, his touch sending a spark of warmth through her. I understand. I've had my share of heartache too. But I want to be honest with you. I'm falling for you, Sophie. The admission hung in the air, heavy with promise. Sophie's heart swelled at his words, but doubt crept in. What if it doesn't work out? She asked, her voice trembling. What if we ruin what we have? Ethan squeezed her hand gently. I think it's worth the risk. Life is too short to hold back, especially when you've found something real. Sophie searched his eyes, seeking reassurance. In that moment, she realized she didn't want to let fear dictate her choices. You're right, she said, her voice steadier. Let's take that risk together. As they leaned in, their lips met in a soft kiss that felt both exhilarating and reassuring. It was a promise, a commitment to explore the unknown, to embrace the beauty of vulnerability. But as they pulled away, Sophie couldn't shake a lingering feeling of uncertainty. Their connection felt deep, but the thought of the past still haunted her. Would love truly be enough to mend the scars they both carried? That night, as she lay in bed, Sophie stared at the ceiling, her mind racing. She wanted to believe in their future, but could she truly open her heart again? The question lingered, a thread unraveling in the tapestry of their blossoming relationship, and she knew she would have to confront it soon. The days turned into weeks, and Sophie and Ethan's relationship deepened. They shared laughter and late-night conversations, exploring not only the art scene in Lakewood, but also the intricacies of each other's lives. Yet, despite the joy, Sophie often found herself wrestling with the shadows of her past. One rainy evening, while they were cozying up in Ethan's apartment, a familiar tension hung in the air. They were surrounded by his artwork, canvases splashed with bold colors and emotion, but Sophie felt the weight of her worries pressing down on her. Hey, Ethan said, noticing her distant expression. What's on your mind? Sophie hesitated, biting her lip. I've been thinking about us. About my past. Ethan's brow furrowed with concern. You can talk to me about anything. I want to understand. Taking a deep breath, Sophie decided to open up. A few years ago, I was in a really toxic relationship. It started off great, but over time, it became controlling. I lost a lot of myself trying to make it work, and when it ended, it took me a long time to rebuild. Ethan's expression softened. I'm sorry you went through that. It's not easy to heal from experiences like that. Thank you, she replied, her voice trembling. But now, sometimes I find myself pulling away, worrying that I might lose myself again, or that I'll get hurt. I don't want to sabotage what we have. Ethan nodded, processing her words. You're not alone in feeling that way. I have my own scars, too. It's hard to trust again. Isn't it? Sophie's heart ached at his honesty. It is. But I really like you, Ethan. I want to make this work. Then let's take it one step at a time, he suggested, his voice steady and reassuring. We'll be honest with each other, and we'll communicate. If something's bothering you, I want you to tell me. No matter how small it seems. She looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity. I promise to try. As the rain drummed softly against the window, they shifted closer, a silent understanding forming between them. The connection felt stronger, rooted in vulnerability and shared experiences. But later that week, as they prepared for a weekend art festival, Sophie's anxiety crept back in. The festival would be filled with people and potential triggers, and she found herself second-guessing everything: her outfit, her choices, and even her place beside Ethan. Are you ready? Ethan called from the other room, pulling her from her thoughts. Yeah, just give me a minute, she replied, forcing a smile. As she finished getting ready, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. The woman looking back seemed uncertain, and she felt a wave of doubt wash over her. When they arrived at the festival, the atmosphere was electric, with art displays, live music, and the scent of food filling the air. Sophie tried to shake off her nerves, but as they moved through the crowd, she felt overwhelmed by the noise and the sheer number of people. Ethan noticed her unease. Hey, are you okay? He asked gently, his concern palpable. Yeah, I'm fine, she lied, but he could see right through her facade. Let's take a break, he suggested, guiding her away from the crowd to a quieter corner of the park. You don't have to pretend with me. Sophie took a deep breath, her heart racing. I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed. It's a lot to take in. Ethan nodded, his expression understanding. It's okay to feel that way. We can leave if you want, or just find a place to relax. I don't want to ruin our day, she said, guilt creeping in. You're not ruining anything. Your feelings matter to me, Sophie. Let's find a quiet spot and just breathe. They found a shaded bench under a large tree, and as they sat, Sophie felt the tension in her shoulders begin to ease. She leaned against Ethan, finding comfort in his presence. I really want to enjoy this with you, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. But sometimes, The past feels too close, and I don't know how to let it go. Ethan wrapped an arm around her shoulders, pulling her closer. You don't have to let it go all at once. Healing takes time. I'm here for you, every step of the way. Sophie felt a rush of gratitude. In that moment, she realized that they were both on a journey, learning to navigate their fears and build something beautiful together. As they sat in silence, watching the festival unfold around them, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could create a future filled with trust and love. As the vibrant colors of autumn began to blanket Lakewood, Sophie found herself more at peace than she had been in a long time. The past few months had been a journey of discovery, both in her professional life and in her relationship with Ethan. Together, they had faced challenges, shared laughter, and embraced the beauty of vulnerability. One crisp Saturday morning, Sophie stood in the gallery, preparing for another exhibition, this time featuring emerging local artists. The space buzzed with excitement as she and MIA arranged the final pieces. Each artwork resonated with stories of resilience and hope, mirroring the path Sophie had traveled. Are you ready for this? MIA asked, placing a hand on Sophie's shoulder. You've put in so much work. I am, Sophie replied, a smile breaking across her face. I can't wait to share these artists' stories. As the opening night approached, Sophie felt a familiar flutter of nerves. But this time, it was accompanied by a sense of anticipation rather than fear. Ethan had been a constant source of support, attending every planning session and brainstorming ideas with her. His unwavering belief in her made her feel invincible. That evening, as guests began to arrive, the gallery filled with laughter and conversation. Sophie moved through the crowd, proudly introducing the artists and their works. Each interaction fueled her passion, and she felt a sense of belonging in the artistic community. In the midst of it all, Ethan approached, his eyes shining with admiration. You've outdone yourself, Sophie. This is incredible. Thank you, she said, her heart swelling at his praise. I couldn't have done it without you. They shared a quiet moment, standing side by side, absorbing the energy around them. Sophie glanced at the artwork displayed before them, each piece a testament to the power of expression. As the night unfolded, Sophie found herself more relaxed than ever. She laughed with friends, connected with artists, and reveled in the joy of the evening. But deep down, she knew there was one more thing she wanted to do. Once the crowd thinned, she took Ethan's hand and led him to a quiet corner of the gallery. Can we talk for a moment? Of course, he replied, his curiosity piqued. Sophie took a deep breath, her heart racing. I wanted to thank you for being my rock through all of this. You've helped me believe in myself again. Ethan smiled, his expression softening. You've always had that belief within you. I just helped you see it. She looked into his eyes, feeling a rush of emotion. I know I've had my fears, and I've struggled to let go of my past. But being with you has shown me that it's possible to move forward. I'm proud of you, Sophie, he said gently. You've come so far. Sophie took a step closer, her heart pounding. And I want to keep moving forward with you. I'm ready to embrace this journey, no matter where it takes us. Ethan's eyes widened in surprise and joy. Are you sure? Absolutely. I want to take that leap with you, she replied, her voice steady. Let's create our own story together, one brushstroke at a time. Without hesitation, Ethan closed the distance between them, wrapping his arms around her. I'd love nothing more. As they held each other, the weight of their pasts began to lift, replaced by a sense of hope and possibility. They stood there, enveloped in the warmth of their connection, feeling the promise of a new beginning, as the night drew to a close. Sophie realized that life, like art, was a canvas, full of potential, waiting to be shaped by their hands. Together, they would paint their journey, embracing the colors of love, trust, and resilience. In the heart of Lakewood, beneath the twinkling lights of the gallery, they took the first step into their future, an adventure that was just beginning, a story that was theirs to write. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. You are awesome.